Tonight we've got a second match, and that is going to be an absolute cracker. New Zealand against Australia. Not only is it a traditional rivalry, the great Trans-Tasman rivalry, and it's all happening at Lord's in London, but in the context of this particular World Cup, it's an even more vital game. So New Zealand-Australia, always a great game, but the way...
Also a replay of the finals.
Also a replay of the 2015 World Cup final, lest we forget. But it's stacked up so nicely. Australia at the moment sitting pretty on top. New Zealand looking as the team to beat in the tournament. And now I think the winner of this match will make a strong statement.
Big statement. Also, Australia really, they've had their first loss and they've come back strongly. If New Zealand win this one, they'll be looked on as very strong contenders. Australia, if they win this, then they'll be cruising. They'll be looking to sort of cement their first place. I think it's going to be a cracker of a match. Lots at stake. And more than anything else, I think both these teams will qualify. It's going to be bragging rights. Of course, if New Zealand loses, and what happens is, he says, Pakistan starts catching up on run rate, then life will get very interesting.
I think for timing of this match for New Zealand team is wrong. Because Australia is the first team to qualify, and they've been growing in confidence in this World Cup. Now they know that their work in a way is done. They got that cue which matters on that points table. They're going to play more freely. They've already playing really good cricket in this tournament. Barring India's match, they've pretty much won close matches as well. The one which they won against West Indies particularly gave them a lot of boost in confidence. So for New Zealand, for that reason, it's going to be very difficult to win this match. Because they when the pressure is off, you come out there and express yourself freely. Wherein New Zealand is going in with the mindset that oh, what if we get stuck on these 11 points? So it's going to be about dealing with pressure, not only just playing against Australia, and Australia coming out hard at them with a very free mindset. No pressure of having to qualify or thinking of the points table or net run rate for that matter. The New Zealand got lucky with the last game, running away with keeping their net run rate intact. So there's always a possibility that you might have that big loss and has a great impact. And tomorrow Pakistan actually winning against Afghanistan with a big margin, then things start to get tricky. So I think from that point of view, it will be a crucial game for New Zealand, because their batting has been under little bit of pressure. It's good that Nisham came along and rescued them with that brilliant 96. But for that team, it's very important. Kane Williamson and Ross Taylor hanging together at least for 10 overs. I think if they play for like 10-15 overs together, then the platform is set.
But you want the platform to be set by two gentlemen who we haven't even mentioned. Williamson Taylor should ideally be playing with a platform already set.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter there.
Guptill and Munro.
It doesn't matter there.
Guptill is the highest run scorer for the 2015 World Cup, and he's just not come to the party. It's a big one.
I know Williamson and Taylor are high-class players, but they would like a few.
See, even if they get a great start, even if they get a start like how Sri Lanka got today with no wicket, right? So 70 no loss, and in the next say 5 or 7 overs they lose 2 wickets. They still need Williamson and Ross Taylor to bat together for at least 10 to 15 overs. I think that's their formula of winning. How you keep throwing numbers at Virat has to score this many. If Rohit gets 50, then this is what happens.
India win 80% of the time. No.
Exactly. So so with New Zealand team is that middle orders, because their approach of playing the match, their brand of cricket is like that they don't mind sacrificing those 1 or 2 wickets at the top, because they want to set that tempo and absorb pressure in the middle overs. And who is going to absorb the pressure in the middle overs? These two gentlemen there.
But it would be, now that their opposition is that much better in Australia, they'd want that they'd come to the party, because we know that with New Zealand's schedule, if you have a look at it, like England, they're finishing with the strongest teams. And have a look at that. Australia and England to finish with in that schedule. I'm not saying there's any easy games as such, but if you look at the context of the tournament, they started with Sri Lanka, they started with that narrow win against Bangladesh, but nonetheless a good win. And you see how topsy-turvy it's been in terms of the hardest teams last year.
And they're going to hit a they're going to hit Australia, who doesn't care, and likely England will be desperate by then. Having lost to India, will be desperate by then. So I
You said that with a straight face.
yeah, absolutely. They'll be desperate by then. So they'll really go hard at us. So no, I genuinely believe that. But that's what I'm saying. I think New Zealand has done it, but they probably need a bit more from the top order, but they haven't got it. And as he says, so far the keys have been Williamson and Williamson and Taylor. If they fail, they'll really struggle, because this is not going to be a 250, 260 game. Unlikely to be a 250. These are two teams who know how to score well, and unless something disastrous happens, expect a 300, 310, 320 target.
One thing I can say in conclusion to that last comment, Joy, your passport is intact. Can't say visa, but passport is absolutely intact. Let's have a look at the two squads. New Zealand, remember, have gone through this tournament, and it's very rare without making a single change. No room for Blundell Nichols, Tim Southee or Ish Sodhi yet in the tournament. Now the only questions that really have been asked are Martin Guptill and Colin Munro, but the management has said, look, you're good enough, keep on with it. Do you see a change finally against a team like Australia at Lord's?
The only thing, look, very unlikely, but if there's any change to make, I'd turn around and say that even on a surface like this, does it make sense to throw in a spinner, because the Australians may not be that. Do I change anything against a team which I think is better than me? That's all. I wouldn't, but I mean, odds on I wouldn't, because my team seems to be giving me whatever it is. But see, when do you change? I change when I think you're better than me and I need to do something different. And
or horses for courses for a particular.
Or horses for courses for a very particular thing.
Which they should have used in the previous match, where the wicket was helping
maybe
spin. There was enough indication that there might be a little bit of help for the spinners, and they didn't opt for it.
And Santa did get some turn.
And another possible change is Henry Nichols coming, right?
For Munro?
Yeah. So that's the only debate they'll have. Guptill has had it.
Yeah, Munro has had a pretty average start. And he's thrown away his wicket so many times that,
Yeah, and Guptill.
But also, it also sends a signal of desperation after that last loss. So they might have a debate on that and stick to no change and then play the same playing 11.
All right, that's how Kane Williamson has been doing it. Every time he's asked at the toss, did you consider Henry Nichols? Did you consider Ish Sodhi, Tim Southee? Oh, I consider everyone. Just not taking them in the team, that's all. That's been Kane Williamson's theory. Let's have a look at Australia and how lethal they were. And I think along with everything Zahir Khan just said, they'll have the advantage of having just played at Lord's and having just beaten England at Lord's, with the likes of Behrendorff looking lethal, with Finch and Warner so solid up top. Anything to even look at, or can we get rid of the squad?
I think they've settled in. I mean, the interesting one is the experiment that they did, the Nathan Lyon for Zampa, and I'm wondering whether how many.
Coulter for Jason Behrendorff came in the last one, I think.
Yeah, those are the only two changes that they've been doing.
Behrendorff's not going anywhere for about 10 years.
Just
after that 5-5,
Behrendorff stays.
Yeah.
Zampa for this thing, I still learn how many left-handers does the New Zealand top order have?
Well, they got
have Munro if Munro plays.
Really. Otherwise, it's a solid right-hand combination.
Neesham has
Neesham at 6.
Tom Latham is there.
But I'm wondering whether they will.
Can they drop Latham?
They could.
What's their wicket-keeping option? Because he has been in bad touch. He's someone who has been getting out.
We'll have a look at it again. Yeah. Their other keeper is Tom Blundell, who's not got the experience. This is where we were. I remember when India were in New Zealand, Simon Dool was talking a lot about Tom Blundell, but he's not tried and tested at this level.
They said he was work in progress is the words Simon Dool used. Maybe it's true.
Yeah. So you from Australia side you might see a leggy.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That maybe Lyon for Zampa for Lyon, because Lyon that played against Pakistan for a specific purpose, so very likely for that.
Yeah, fair enough. So that's what we feel. One possible change there. Otherwise, both teams looking fairly settled, looking to renew an old rivalry. And of course, let's keep reminding you, it's a repeat of the 2015 World Cup final.